All right, let me get this going. There we go. All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us, and welcome to another premium webinar. My name's Fred. I'm the lead product manager for Premium here at Seeking Alpha, and I'm joined by Brandon Dot, who's a senior product manager here at Seeking Alpha. We're super excited to do another premium webinar for you and kind of walk you through how you can get the most out of Premium and touch on some new and exciting features that we'll go through in our call today. And we'll certainly leave time for questions at the end. We'll always make sure that we're, taking your questions there. So definitely excited to do that. And so with that, we'll jump in. I do have to read our disclosure for housekeeping really quick, and then we'll jump right in. So, past performance is no guarantee of future results. Any views or opinions expressed in the webinar do not reflect those of Seeking Alpha as a whole. Any content and tools on the platform are offered for information purposes only. Seeking Alpha Portfolio is a tool for tracking news and analysis and does not constitute a brokerage account or enable any trading activity. Seeking Alpha does not take account of your objectives or your financial situation and does not offer any personalized investment advice. Seeking Alpha is not a licensed securities dealer, broker, U.S. investment advisor, or investment bank. Okay. And so with that, we can get into kind of some of the new features that we're looking to show you today. Primarily, kind of an exciting one that you've maybe seen rolling out across our site, which is called Ask Seeking Alpha. Ask Seeking Alpha is Seeking Alpha's AI-powered search assistant designed to help you quickly access and explore financial information that we publish on Seeking Alpha. It's really just a search tool that can instantly pull insights from our extensive database of financial data, ratings, investment research. And so we're very excited to walk through that today. Um, Please go ahead as we go through this and type your questions into the chat during the webinar. Don't wait until the end to type your questions into the chat. So that's important just so that we can have some time to take a look at those before we start looking. And then this webinar will be recorded and sent out. You'll get an alert, and it'll be emailed to you a few days after the conclusion of the webinar. So just wanted to mention that. And let's jump into, the Ask Seeking Alpha feature here. So I'm sharing my screen now. And the easiest way for you to access Ask Seeking Alpha is in this search bar in the top of your homepage. You can actually access it from any news analysis, any of our pages. I'm on the homepage right now. You can see it in the top search bar. If I click into there, it opens up the Ask Seeking Alpha window here. And you can see there are suggested queries you can enter in and a search box that you can, type in your own queries as well. And so what's beneficial about Ask Seeking Alpha is that Ask Seeking Alpha uses only Seeking Alpha data and content, which means it's avoiding hallucinations from all these other, sources all across the web that maybe other AI products might use. Ask Seeking Alpha is using Seeking Alpha data, proprietary content from our ratings, from our financial data, from our analysts. And so it can fetch tons of information within Ask Seeking Alpha, our huge repository and library of content, articles, news, all available data we have on the symbol page, for example, through earnings call transcripts, the top analyst information that we have, insider transactions, earnings, revenue revisions, comments from subscribers as well. And so you can basically run, natural language screeners to find stocks and ETFs, and I'll show you how to do that. And so, like I said, you can type in a query into the search bar. You can also use any of these suggested queries. For example, there's one right here that I'll click on that says, "Will Nike's tariff refund lawsuit derail margin recovery?" And you'll see that it quickly generates an answer, like I said, based on Seeking Alpha proprietary data with links to articles that you can dive further into, throughout Seeking Alpha itself, and it gives you the grades from Ask Seeking Alpha as well. Um, and the Explore Queries panel, which if I hit this search bar again, and you can click here, explore more queries. This is, suggested queries that there's about four of those, but if you click explore more queries, you can go through and find tons of predefined queries that are super valuable and super helpful for, making the most out of premium, doing more investment research, doing a deep dive on a stock you might be interested in buying, potentially, a sell in your portfolio as well. Like we said earlier, natural language screeners. And so there's actually a couple that Brandon and I find quite valuable that I'm going to walk through right now. The first one is one that I'm just going to copy in here related to stocks currently speculated as acquisition targets. And so this is a pretty unique view, I would say. I typed this in and hit search, and this is the result. It's using our screener functionality as well as trending topics from data science models that we've accessed on the website to kind of come up with items that are people or companies with rumored M&A activity in here. And so that's interesting to be able to just see, okay, what's going on in the mergers and acquisitions world. Some of those might be interesting. You can then click here and actually go directly into the screener functionality that we have. And that'll show you, the actual, uh, you know, full screener functionality that we've created. And you can go through and basically edit the screener, maybe like you're used to doing, on Seeking Alpha. And so it's using our screener functionality to kind of get you a quick insight directly from the Ask Seeking Alpha, search command. And then also has, again, a summary and some analysis using proprietary Seeking Alpha data from news and analysis articles that you can go further into, on the site there. So that's a pretty helpful use case that we like stocks currently speculated as acquisition targets. Another one that is interesting is one related to stocks where analysts in Wall Street disagree most. So, one of the big benefits of Seeking Alpha is obviously our analyst community, who are experts and top analysts writing and publishing articles based on how they, feel about a certain stock and based on their experience. And we also have Wall Street analyst ratings. And so you can basically, like I've said, typed in here, screen for stocks where analysts on Seeking Alpha and Wall Street disagree the most. And you can see again, we go down to the screener functionality as far as what it looks like to show you, SA analyst ratings that have, a five or a four, and then Wall Street analyst ratings that are very low, that are a sell. And so that's just an interesting kind of use case where you can then see, okay, why maybe is this stock, SA analyst rating very high, and Wall Street thinks it's a sell. You can click here, and that'll take you to the symbol page, and you can look at more data related to this stock to try and understand, why it might be considered a buy. Maybe you can go over to the ratings tab on the symbol page, and you can see, for example, the quant rating history has been a hold. You can go over to the SA analyst rating tab. You can see there's been a strong buy written about this, and you can go into, this article and actually read what this person has to say. So that's an interesting use case to basically say, a discrepancy between Wall Street analysts and Seeking Alpha analysts. It's just I would say, a quicker way to get to this information, and that's one of the big benefits that we find with it. Um, Another one is just kind of the consensus from Seeking Alpha users themselves. So, for example, if I am interested in, um, you know, Amazon stock, I could say, what do SA users think about Amazon? And it'll basically pull comments from articles about Amazon, from news about Amazon, and you can kind of easily, quickly kind of sift through these and understand, where they came from or what people are thinking about them. You can see kind of a summary here about recent user sentiment being mixed. And if you hover over this, you can actually go into individual comments and see those individual comments in an article. So it's just a good way to aggregate information on a specific stock and how kind of our community, which is again, one of our benefits, our subscriber base is feeling about a stock. Um, for example, the SpaceX IPO recently, it's interesting from at least from my perspective and hopefully from our subscribers' perspective to go through and see some of the comments on SpaceX news articles and SpaceX analysis to really see what, our subscriber base is thinking about SpaceX and its IPO. So that's just an interesting example and a kind of a benefit, a feature of the SA community. And then the last one I was going to highlight before turning it over to Brandon, because I know he had a few that he wanted to highlight too, was um, basically undervalued stocks where insiders and institutions were heavily, buying the stock in the last quarter. So typing in find undervalued stocks where both insiders and institutions bought heavily last quarter, and I can pull up valuation grades that are an A plus, where their weekly volume per shares is a certain level, and insider percentage in the last quarter was quite high. And so, it makes it easier for me to sift through this information and see a stock like this one and see that 27.5% was institutional buying. I can go into that stock and kind of dive a little bit deeper into what's actually happening here, and just analyze it further. So these are just some interesting use cases. Again, highlighting the benefits of Ask Seeking Alpha and using Seeking Alpha's proprietary data to quickly kind of surface up insights for you in your research. I'll turn it over to Brandon because I know there's a couple that he was interested in sharing as well. So Brandon, feel free to go ahead.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Fred.
Yeah,
I'll go ahead and share my screen.
perfect.
So the idea here is that there are some other instances and examples that we can kind of take heed to. One such scenario is like if we were to look into finding bio stocks with heavy insider buying activity, you'll see that these tables come up pretty regularly. Insider buying is, something many investors watch because it can signal management confidence in the business. And instead of manually building a screener for this, I can leverage the Ask Seeking Alpha tool and to find these bio stocks or whatever type of stocks or whatever industry you're in with, heavy insider buying activity. So, Ask Seeking Alpha automatically just combines the biotech classification data with insider track transaction data and returns a rank list of results that you can see is leveraged in this table. Now, what's powerful is that, you can immediately continue the conversation. You can ask follow-up questions about, who bought shares, how much they bought, how recently. As Fred had pointed out in previous examples, there are links to where all this information and context comes from. And then one of the cool features that we have as well is, typically underneath at the bottom of most queries, you'll have an explore further page. And that kind of gives you the individual breakdown and activity that was used in these prompts so that you can kind of leverage a little further. So if I click on insider activity, I get all of it here in this page. It takes me directly to this table. And I can do the same thing with analysis. It takes you immediately to the analysis page of that, and then you have screeners as well. So it's a pretty high leverage tool, kind of encompasses everything that we look at. Another list that we can look at is a fresh conviction list. So stocks with strong buy and quant ratings, less than 10 days and a A plus momentum. The idea here is that this example highlights how Ask Seeking Alpha can leverage Seeking Alpha's proprietary ratings. So, here I'm looking for stocks that recently received a strong buy quant rating and also has that A plus momentum. So rather than, knowing which filters can use, because as you all know, we have a lot of filters that you can leverage, I can just describe the idea in plain English and Ask Seeking Alpha, will build that exact screen for me. It's basically a quick way to identify names that may be gaining momentum right now. And, this can be leveraged. You can change the quant ratings to anything you want. You can change the time, the momentum grade, and it will quickly build a screener for you in a few seconds. Another one that we can leverage is, touchy topic at hand, but, I think it is a compelling example of, this is a great thematic investing example. Instead of searching separately for stocks and ETFs, as Seeking Alpha leverages both in one scenario. So in this case or example where we say, hey, can you find me some cannabis stocks and ETFs? Instead of searching separately for them, they're all leveraged in one place. So it saves time, helps you explore an entire investment theme without not necessarily needing to know exactly where that information lives. And, it's a great time saver per se. And the last one that I kind of wanted to run through with you, which is a big favorite of our team, is the final example is looking at seasonality. And as Seeking Alpha pulls in Seeking Alpha's seasonality data and shows historical monthly performance, win rates, and supporting context from recent coverage. So what I like about this example is that it combines data and research into like one single answer. So it's making it easy to understand whether we're entering, a historically stronger or weaker period for the market. But it is a very high leverage tool, gives you a lot of context, and basically comprehensively brings together all of the information that Seeking Alpha gives us. So as you can see, the common theme across all these examples is that users don't need to know exactly where the data lives or which filters to use in an exact scenario. They can basically simply ask a question to Ask Seeking Alpha, and Ask Seeking Alpha does the work of bringing the relevant information together and providing that bridge. So just wanted to share those with you. I'll hand it back over to Fred.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're primarily interested in showing you all use cases of that are most valuable and how to best use the feature and pull up information in a quick and informative way. Um, so we are getting some questions in here. Brandon, just so you know, if you can put in the links to the ones that you just went through, because I didn't do it, so that
No
would be
worries
great
at
if you
all.
go ahead and
Well,
do it.
yeah,
Thank you. I'll go ahead and just look at some of these questions. So one of them in here is there a way to save what your typed in results are in Ask Seeking Alpha? Can you save it and retrieve it later? You can. Let me go ahead and show you how to do that. So if I'm on the homepage now and I click uh, Ask Seeking Alpha, the search bar in the top here, it pops up. And in the top right corner, you can see kind of like a search history or activity icon there. If I click on that, it'll bring up some, the options that I went through today. So as far as typing into the actual chat, those will come up here. The links that we were inputting in there, I'd recommend saving those and putting them maybe as like a bookmark or something like that. Those won't come up in here. The links that are kind of pre-queried would, be ones that you would bookmark. I think that's maybe a good piece of feedback for the future. But I think someone else in here asked, how is there a way to see which stocks own a specific or which ETFs own a specific stock? So I basically typed in which ETFs own SpaceX because that's basically just like I mentioned before, SpaceX just went through an IPO. So yes, you can see which stocks are owned in an ETF. You can see here, there's a handful of examples that you can go through and check out and see those. So that's a useful one. Another person asked if I ask Seeking Alpha to show me the top 10 large cap value stocks, will it give me the list? So if I go to um, let's see, hold on one second, I'm going to search it up here. Show top 10 large cap value stocks. I think I had it pre-populated, but it may have gone away. And you can see the large cap value stocks come up. There's a value grade here filtered by A plus or A. And then the quant rating is buy or strong buy. And it shows you all the parameters that it actually is using here. And so you can see that list and it shows you the top 10 right there. And if you wanted to edit this further, you can kind of search what you want to edit further by typing in here, or you can click edit screener and it takes you to the screener functionality that we have. And you can basically, for example, I'm in here at the edit filters. I've got it set to a custom filter for market cap. I could maybe take out, buys or buy and make it so it's just strong buys and valuation so it's an A plus. I can hit next and then it'll prompt me to save the screener. And once I save it, this will come up on, a regular basis in my left navigation on the left here. Um, and actually, someone asked how to delete a saved screener. So I just went through and added a screener. If you want to delete screeners, you can go right here to all screens whenever you're on a screener. So your screeners come up on the left nav here under save screens, but you can go to all screens and basically then click on my screens here, and you'll be able to see your screeners that have come up. I'm going to go ahead and hit this trash icon here. It'll ask me if I'm sure, and then I'll hit delete. I can go ahead and delete that one. I have another untitled one here that I'll go ahead and delete as well. So you can access it through the My Screen section of the stock screener, but you can also refer back to all of your screeners on the left nav here by just clicking into each one of these. So it's an easy way to get to your save screens there. Okay, and then someone asked, I'm getting too many quant alerts in my email each morning. Is there a way to delete them all and start again? So yes, there is a way to do that. If you click in the top right corner on your profile icon, and then you click on Manage Emails and Alerts, click on that. And then you'll see there's a section here for ratings and price alerts. So that's where those ratings and price alerts will come up. You can see some of my ones that have already triggered right here. This page, if you had active ones set, would be the page that would show you basically like a delete all button, and you'd be able to just click delete all, and then you could potentially start over if you want. For example, if you just want to get them for your one portfolio, you can do that. So after you've deleted them here, you could potentially click into a portfolio on the left nav over here. Like I'm going to click into this close-end funds portfolio. And then I'm going to hit manage alerts. And then it's going to ask me some kind of like high level alerts here. And basically I can say, yes, I want quant rating alerts. And I can hit done. And then those will be set for me. And then maybe I should have done this in reverse. But if you go back and hit manage emails and alerts, and then go to ratings and price alerts, you can see here they're all set and are all active. And like I said, you can delete individual ones, but at the very bottom, there's a button that says delete all. So if you want to do that, you can delete them all, and then they will no longer show up there. So that's how you do that. Someone else asked, how quick is the quant rating in response to daily market changes? If a stock with a strong buy or buy rating collapses due to market conditions. So the quant rating will change on a daily basis. So I'm trying to think of an example. Let's think of like Sky West or something like that. I'll go to Sky West and I can see if I click the ratings tab in Sky West, I can then see if I scroll down an illustration of over time, kind of what has happened here from a buy to a strong buy to a hold to a sell back to a hold. If I scroll down further, I can basically see on a daily basis. So the date will show what the rating was each day. So you can see there's, basically it's updating on a daily basis. And you can essentially see for this one, it was labeled as a sell, and then the next day got upgraded to a hold. And it looks like that's because the momentum went from a D plus to a C minus. All the others, well, it also went from EPS revisions from F to D minus. So all the other ones stayed pretty constant. And so that can help you if you see a rating change give you an idea on why. You can come in and look at the grades and understand why those grades may have changed based on what happened in the market. So this is a good page to come to see the daily kind of quant rating history of a stock and try and figure out a little bit further why that actually happened. Let's see what else. Someone asked which metrics are most useful to add to the advanced chart view. So just switching gears to that view, maybe for the same stock, Sky West, I can click on this advanced chart button and it will open in a new tab. You can see the advanced charting feature comes up here. Um, you can add in various indicators. I actually have two already on here, RSI and beta. So those are interesting ones to potentially add. But I'm going to clear these out and actually just click indicators again and kind of go to like most popular. And you can see there's things in here like Bollinger Bands, which are quite interesting, as well as moving average. That can be interesting as well. And so this can just help you kind of see a different illustration of a stock. And, for example, I can change it to a line graph or go back to the candle type. And if you go away from the screen, it'll actually, save on here and come back. When you come back, it'll be on here. So that's, something that is important to note as well. This will save your progress. But I would, check out some of these ones that are in the most popular category. Like I mentioned, RSI is also one that you can track on here as well. So that's an interesting one to check out. So So yeah, and then I think people are also asking some more questions about the quant system, and so just one other kind of note going back to the symbol page with the grades. So the grades or the rating, the quant rating is really taking into account these factors associated with the stock on the right. So valuation, growth, profitability, momentum, and revisions. We actually have a tool tip here that kind of discusses the factor grades and what actually goes into these factor grades, which makes up that one overall quant rating. And there's actually a FAQ in here that I'll just copy the link to and go ahead and put it into the chat so that everyone has it. And then I want to be wary or aware of everyone's time. So one other thing I wanted to call out is you'll get an email alert when this is posted that you can watch as a recording. But if you follow the Seeking Alpha video hub, you'll also get alerts whenever we post new videos. So basically the way to go to that is just seekingalpha.com/videos. And then there's a playlist down here called Premium How To. I'll click on that. And then if you hit the follow button there, as I said, you will go ahead and get notifications whenever a new video is posted here. There are webinars like this. There's a couple minute long videos to walk through specific features. And it's a really helpful place to understand, more about premium and getting started and using awesome features like Ask Seeking Alpha that we went through. So yeah, thanks everyone for the time. Really appreciate it. We'll send out a notification when you can check out the recording of this webinar, and we'll hope to see you on the next one as well. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.